also want to get further analysis of that big headline that just broke out of Washington, and that is that we will be seeing Justice John Paul Stevens retire this summer. We've been expecting him to retire, but we did get confirmation of that today. What does this mean for the makeup of this court? What does this mean for the Obama administration's big decision here? Let's bring in Bloomberg's Washington executive editor, Al Hunt, and, of course, our chief correspondent there, Peter Cook, for some analysis. You know, Al, we were just talking about Stupak retiring. We're shifting gears here about the other big announcement today. This had been expected, but from what I know, Stevens has been liberal in terms of his record for the past 30-something years. This is an ally that's being lost in some ways for the administration, no?
Yeah, it is, Margaret. A bigger story than Bart Stupak, for sure. Bloomberg's Greg Stohr has revealed earlier this week that there are three front runners in the White House list right now to succeed Stevens. There was a foregone conclusion he was going to go. They are Elena Kagan, the Solicitor General, and two appellate court judges, Merrick, Garland here in Washington, Diane in Chicago. None of them would change the ideological composition of the court, as Stevens was such a stalwart in the liberal wing of that court.
Who is going to be stepping up to take his place there, Peter Cook? I know Bloomberg had been reporting three names, Elena Kagan, Diane Wood, Merrick, Garland, as possibilities. What are you hearing right now?
Well, again, I don't think we can get any better reporting on this than our Greg Stohr, who covers the Supreme Court, really perhaps the best in the business. Those are the three names that have been mentioned a lot. Elena Kagan, obviously, she's already a Solicitor General. She's been confirmed by this Congress. She's obviously very familiar to this president. She was interviewed, in fact, before the decision to nominate Justice Sotomayor when she got the seat earlier. So she's a very familiar face as Solicitor General. She's up at the Supreme Court all the time, arguing on behalf of the administration. But again, those two other names, the two justices, the federal judges, will also get consideration according to Greg's reporting and everything else that we're hearing here in Washington. One thing's very important, Margaret, this is coming in an election year, and that even though it looks likely that the replacement would be someone with the same ideological bent perhaps as Justice Stevens, this is going to be fodder both for Democrats and Republicans trying to raise money, raise issues in this election year. This is going to be another issue thrown into the mix in an already busy election year. No,
the timing is key here. You're good to point that out here, Peter. Al, what's on the docket here in terms of the big Supreme Court decisions that are going to matter to our audience? I mean, what kind of influence will this new person be able to exert?
Well, there are always business cases, Margaret, that don't really conform to any neat ideological line, so you're not quite sure how it may change some of those. And a few of them have been close 5-4-6-3 decisions. Other big decisions, campaign finance laws. This court has really been dismantling the campaign finance laws. I don't think the new appointment will make much of a difference because Stevens has opposed those decisions, and I suspect any of those three possible nominees would too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking at an article Greg Stohr, one of our reporters here at Bloomberg, just has on the terminal from the 5th of April, saying that in particular the issue of gun rights and the conviction of Enron CEO Jeffrey Skilling, two decisions that are going to be before this court, whatever that makeup ends up looking like. Peter,
Margaret, let me jump in.
You want to jump in? I see you.
Enron case.
Yeah, they've argued those cases already, and with Justice Stevens not leaving until July, if I'm not mistaken, the announcement we heard today, the formal announcement, no new justice would necessarily have a direct role in those decisions, but you're very correct to think about this case, this court going forward. Business decisions, as Al pointed out, this is a court that has already heard a whole bunch of very important business cases, and we'll hear more over the course of the next few years. So there's a lot more business on the docket than a lot of people think.
Right, because those votes I see here, June or early July, are when those rulings are going to happen. So that may be some of the last few things that Justice Stevens gets to handle before he leaves. Al, what is really his defining legacy?
His defining legacy is he was appointed by a moderately conservative president, Gerald Ford, and he turned out to be one of the most liberal members of the Supreme Court. And that just shows that you can't always stereotype these people when they are picked.
All right.
Margaret, let me just add one other thing, if I could. Just
yeah,
he's going to be 90 years old. he's going to be 90 years old in just a little bit. And having sat in on a couple of Supreme Court arguments this year, this is a man who's not leaving because he's not able to do this job. Very spry, very engaged in those arguments. So that's not why he's stepping down. Undoubtedly, he's got a lot more left.
Well, and we know that he sent the letter to the president announcing his retirement.